And we go to Japan to see a home with an astonishing centerpiece in its living room. Welcome back to Extreme Homes. Next, we go to Japan to see a house designed to display art and a whole lot more. Hideo Ito is a successful advertising designer who got tired of living in a conventional apartment, so he decided to build a house of his own. He found an ideal property in Funabashi, which used to be a fishing village just outside of Tokyo.
The lot was perfect. It was near, but not on a main road. It wasn't all crowded in by tall buildings. And it was zoned for commercial development, which allowed me to construct a bigger building on the site.
So Hideo hired architect Noriseda Maeda and gave him some very simple directions.
He told me that he wanted a large open living space and a lot of light coming in.
The architect decided to keep the exterior very simple.
We didn't want to call attention to the building, so we used utilitarian materials like concrete and steel.
Nevertheless, the building did cause people to take notice. Perhaps it was because of the triangular windows that seem almost randomly placed. Or maybe it was the starkness of the concrete panels themselves. And those who've only seen the outside of this strikingly out-of-character home don't know the half of it. With its frosted windows facing the street and large expanses of glass not really visible from the ground, the house is intensely private and totally inscrutable. But on the inside, you won't believe what is on display. We'll see that when Extreme Homes continues. For questions or comments, please write to Extreme Homes, care of HGTV, Box. A few years ago, advertising designer Hideo Ito decided to build a home for his family here. He wasn't out to please anyone but himself, and that may account for some very unorthodox choices. His architect, Noriseda Maeda, took quite seriously Hideo's desire for lots and lots of light. The main entry is through a tall and oddly shaped door that lets you know immediately that you're walking into something a little off-kilter. The first floor hallway is paved with rocks and pebbles, almost as if it is an indoor garden. This level also contains Hideo's master bedroom, which he chose to keep out of the camera's view. But if you think it's because privacy is a big issue for him, you'll change your mind when you see the second floor. Even before we go all the way up, though, it's obvious that Hideo wanted to establish a very unusual atmosphere here.
I've been an art collector for years, so I wanted the space to feel like a museum. So we planned the walls to showcase specific canvases that I already owned.
And upstairs, art isn't the only thing on display. An open stairway leads to a large marble-tiled great room. Here are all the things you might expect in the part of the home where families spend their waking hours. A modest amount of minimal furnishings seem perfectly appropriate here in a setting filled with art and meant to be visually stimulating. A staircase zigzags against its sunny backdrop almost like sculpture. The upstairs rooms jut out at odd angles, intruding into the living space in intriguing ways. But while all this is stunning, there's something that makes this home really unusual. And you can see it from almost anywhere in the house. It was the architect Noriseda Maeda's idea to put the bath smack in the middle of the action.
In order to have a free open space with lots of light, as the client wanted, it was necessary to bring the bathroom in the center and make it transparent. We could have put it behind frosted glass, but that would have undercut the drama and boldness of the design. And while it may seem strange, it's really very logical because it reflects the centrality of the bath in daily life.
I was very surprised when I saw what the architect had in mind, but I loved it immediately, this idea of putting the bath in a glass box on the stage. I like to spend Sunday afternoons in the tub, reading detective novels and keeping my eye on my family at the same time.
Which makes us wonder, isn't privacy an issue in this Japanese household? After all, he does live here with his wife and daughter.
Our family is very close. We don't really have a problem with privacy. I suppose as my daughter becomes a teenager, it might be an issue. Then we'll just have to use a curtain, I guess.
And with all the glass in the house, there's another consideration.
Japan has a lot of earthquakes, and it's kind of risky to have a house with all this glass. But that's also what makes this house special, and I'm very proud of it.
Oh, and in case you were wondering, the toilet is behind a real wall right next to the bath. It seems even people who live in glass houses have their limits.